couple of days ago, a good friend of mine, Shannon Carafanda, posted on her Holy Mischief Facebook page a link to a resource called Science of People. And in the list of resources was a YouTube channel. And so I immediately started scrolling through the videos. And one of them was called 3 Science-Backed Ways to Get People to Like You. And so I watched this video, and the things are pretty obvious to us, right? There are things like when you talk to somebody, find out what their interests are and look for similarities. And then take these similarities and expand on them, right? And then to take these and push them even further, right? Try to make a connection with these. And as I watched this video, my mind immediately went to Paul and how Paul was really an expert at this. He would go from city to city, and when he arrived in a new city, he'd go to the synagogue and he would talk to the Jews, because remember, Christianity was at first a Jewish religion. And then he would move amongst the people and he'd find out what made that community unique. He would learn about how they processed theology, what their interests were, what kind of work they did. He studied the pagan religion. And then he would use their terms and their words and their languages, and he would tell them the story of Jesus Christ, about how Jesus came. He would share his teachings, his deeds, about his death, and most importantly, about his resurrection. And one of the greatest stories of when he does this is when Paul goes to Athens. So he goes to Athens, he goes to the synagogues first, and he talks to the Jews, and then he starts roaming around the marketplace and having conversations. And he learns a lot about the Athenians, about how they put in high regard learning new things and expanding their horizons, and how they always question things. And as he's walking one day, he sees that there is an idol to an unknown God. And so he sits down and he explains to them that the unknown God is not unknown, that the unknown God is known to him, and that this God is Jesus. And so he tells them again about the story of Jesus. And in that day, they had a lot of questions. And some people chose to believe that what Paul said was complete foolishness. And others were interested, and others became believers that day. And it's interesting because it says that they were to know more about what he was talking about, but then Paul left. And as he left, he took with him some new believers. I think this is just an incredible reminder to us that in these times where we are seeking and finding a God that is presenting God's self in completely new ways, that we are reminded that God does present God's self in new ways. So we may typically find God in church, in the church building, because we are the church. Or we may find God, through music or through gatherings and fellowship. But what we learn time and time again in Scripture, and not just through Paul, is that God continues to reveal God's self to the people in all kinds of new ways at all times. And so if we keep our minds and our hearts and our spirits open, we will discover God in places that we probably didn't expect to find God. Because God has throughout time been present with the people and through the people, and has worked despite of the people. So as you find yourselves maybe co-working with your spouse in a way that you never thought you would, or you find yourself helping your children learn school while trying to manage your busy life of working as well, or as you find yourself not being able to go out and be with the people whom you love to be with, to socialize, and all of your events have been canceled, I want to remind you that our God is known, and that we love and we worship and we give ourselves daily to a known God. And so as Corrie ten Boom says, that we should never be afraid to trust an unknown future to a known God.